so this will be our last stop. We're facing south, and now we can see all of Brooklyn. Everything you see across the water, that's Brooklyn. Brooklyn is our most populous borough, so 2.5 million people live in Brooklyn. To give you a sense of comparison, that's about the entire population of the city of Chicago. Wow. So there are a lot of people who live in Brooklyn. All the 5 boroughs put together is 8.8 million. Wow. Easily the most populous city in the United States. Right? Now, Brooklyn is famous, of course, for the Brooklyn Bridge. It's also famous for a neighborhood you may have heard of called Coney Island. Coney Island is at the far edge of Brooklyn, as far as you can see where that lineup of tall apartment buildings are. That's where you'll find Coney Island. Coney Island is a bathing beach and amusement park. It's been around for about 150 years. It's where New Yorkers go on hot summer days to splash around in the Atlantic Ocean and to ride the Ferris wheel, the roller coaster, things like that. Now, in addition to the beach and the amusement park, Coney Island has a restaurant called Nathan's. Nathan sells hot dogs. They've been selling hot dogs for about 100 years. Every 4th of July, they have a hot dog eating contest. Right? Now this thing is so popular, it's broadcast on ESPN. So I've met people from around the world who have watched the contest. Now the guy who won the contest for the past 14 years is a man named Joey Chestnut. Now, this year, Joey won the contest, but he also broke the record. Wow. His record, right? So he ate as many as he ate before and one hot dog more. Oh. So I'm going to tell you how many hot dogs Joey ate, but I'm going to give you this chance to maybe sit down, grab the wall, hug each other. I don't have to catch him, especially this guy. I don't think I could catch him. He took a tumble. Okay, so you get firmly planted on your feet, okay? All right, so this past 4th of July, Joey ate 76 hot dogs with the buns, in 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
How big is he?
He's a big guy, but not a huge guy. So he's got some natural talents, I guess. 76 hot dogs, yeah, it's incredible. All right, now attached to Brooklyn is the big Verrazzano Narrows Bridge. We saw it on our first stop. That is the longest suspension bridge in the United States. On the other side of the bridge is Staten Island, our last borough. Now, if you look at Staten Island, it looks like this big hilly lump covered in a forest, right? Well, that's not exactly what's going on out there. Staten Island is a very suburban borough. So if you go there, you'll see lots of little houses, 1 and 2 family houses. And because the rooftops of the houses are lower than the treetops of the street trees, it looks like it's covered in a forest, right? But that's not really the case. But if you do go there, it's going to seem very different from the other boroughs. There are no skyscrapers, not a lot of big buildings. It's suburbia over on Staten Island. Now, this green island closer to us is called Governor's Island. Governor's Island used to be a military base. They closed the base about 20 years ago, and then the government sold the island back to New York City for $1, by the way, great real estate deal. And then New York turned it into a park, and that's what it is today. You get there by a little ferry boat that takes you there and back. It's a great place to chill out. And yesterday I gave a tour with 3 ladies, a mom and her 2 daughters, who had just come from Governor's Island. One of the things you can do on Governor's Island, the only place I know, what's that?
You can live.
You can't live there, but you can glamp there. Do you know what glamping is? Glamorous camping. If you look on the edge of Governor's Island, on the closer side to us, you see those little white tents? Those little white, they look like little white buildings. They're actually tents, right? And so you can rent a tent, and it's got a real bed, it's got real lights, and it's got real heaters if it's cold. You get bitten by real mosquitoes, right? And you spend a lot of real money to do it. It's kind of expensive, it really is. But I guess it's so unique and different that people like to do it. And it's the only place I know of in the entire city where in a park they allow glamping. And so that's one of the many things you can do on Governor's Island. Now back to Manhattan. At the bottom end of Manhattan, you'll notice some tall, old office buildings. That section is called the Financial District. And running through the Financial District is Wall Street, and not far from Wall Street is the New York Stock Exchange. Now closer to us, basically at our feet, we've got old stuff and new stuff. So let's talk about some old stuff first. That church, is that what you were just pointing at?
No, actually, that was the new.
Okay, we're going to get to the new stuff in a minute, but first I want to point out that amazing church in that block full of trees. So you're looking at one of the oldest buildings in New York City. That's called St. Paul's Chapel. It was built in 1766, before the American Revolution. All right? It's so old, it's where George Washington, our first president, served as president, because New York City was the capital of the country when he was president. So he would go to that little church every Sunday to attend services. And boy, oh boy, all the history that church has witnessed. They witnessed the revolution, all sorts of fires that devastated downtown. There was a huge blizzard in the 1880s, right? And of course, when the Twin Towers came down, it was nearby. And fortunately, it was utterly undamaged. Covered in dust, covered in papers, but no damage to the church itself. And it served as a refuge for many of the workers, the rescuers, the folks who were digging out of the pile, looking for bodies, putting out fires. A lot of those workers needed some place to sort of calm down and relax, maybe to pray, maybe to sleep, and they would go to that church for that purpose. So lots of history in that little church. And you can, I don't know if they open it to the public because of COVID, but you can see it from the outside. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right, so now let's talk about the World Trade Center. Okay? Before I start pointing out these new buildings, let's briefly talk about the original World Trade Center. So tell you what, let's back up a little bit out of our windows here. Oops. Now tell me if you can see this without a reflection, without a glare. Does everything look good?
Yeah.
Great, okay. So what you've got here, these 7 orange shapes, they represent the original 7 World Trade Center buildings, built from the middle 1960s to the middle 1980s by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Among the 7 buildings, of course, were the Twin Towers. The Twin Towers were World Trade Center 1 and World Trade Center 2, right? Now, on September 11th, 2001, the buildings were hit, they caught fire, they collapsed. World Trade Center 7 also caught fire, and it collapsed. Now, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were technically still standing, but they were so damaged by these buildings collapsing nearby, they couldn't be saved, and they were torn down. They were torn down. So all 7 buildings are gone, right? So then came a period of trying to figure out how to redevelop the site. All sorts of proposals and counter proposals, debates, arguments, right? Out of that process eventually came a plan that everyone could approve of. And this is the plan. So this is what's happening right now. And I'm happy to say most of this is finished. Most of it's done, right? So the first thing they focused on were memorials for the approximately 3,000 victims of the attacks. They came up with this concept of pools, memorial pools, in the footprints of the Twin Towers. The pools are about 30 feet deep, that's about 10 meters deep. Water spills from the top to the bottom, and the names of all the victims are on the edges of the pools. In between the pools, a 9/11 museum to tell people what happened that day, right? All right, so let's go look at this stuff. Let's go to the windows over here. All right. So you can see one of those pools very easily. It's right down there. If you get your head right up against the glass, look straight down, you'll see the corner of the other pool, and in between, that silver rooftop That's the 9/11 museum. So once that stuff was sort of well on its way, they started focusing on new office buildings. The first new office building, new number 7, where the old 7 used to be, it's to the north of this building. So we can't see it where we are right now. Trust me, it's there. It's about 50 stories tall. After 7 came 4. 4 is the building right in front of us. Looks so shiny. It looks like it's made of mirrors, right? It's got a triangle-shaped balcony 3/4 of the way up. The balcony has a nice little garden, right? So after 4 came 1, the building we're in now, the tallest of the new buildings. And after 1 came 3. 3 is to the left of 4. It's got a rectangular shaped balcony with a nice little garden on it. Right? So these are all office buildings. Now, if you look down near the ground, to the left of 3 is that white spiky building. That is called the Oculus. Have you guys been in the Oculus? You have? You guys have? Have you, sir?
I heard about it.
Heard about it. Well, let me show it to you. So, because I want to encourage you to actually go check it out. And it is a 3-minute walk from where we met downstairs.
Oh.
So it is very easy to get to. So this is what it looks like on the outside. Right?
Wow.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
You guys have seen that, right? Yeah. And then this is what it looks like on the inside, right? There you go.
Wow. Okay.
Equally cool. Now, the Oculus isn't just a giant, beautiful space with a bunch of shops and restaurants. It is also a transportation hub. It has underground passageways to all the World Trade Center buildings and all the subway lines in the neighborhood. So think about this. Every day, tens of thousands of visitors like you, tens of thousands of workers like me, we need to get around the neighborhood. We are not on the streets getting rained on and waiting for the light to turn green. We are underground in the beautiful air-conditioned Oculus, right? Getting a cup of coffee on our way home to catch our train to get us back to where we belong, right? So I love the Oculus. It's a great tool for navigating the neighborhood. Now, there are 2 parts of the plan that aren't quite finished yet. One is a performing arts center. It's a box-shaped building so close to us we can't see it. It's going to be basically like a concert hall. When it's finished, it will bring culture to downtown Manhattan. There'll be opera, there'll be performances, theater, there'll be dance, right? All the great New York City performing spaces are in Midtown or Uptown. This will bring culture downtown. It still needs about a year to go before it's finished. And then there's the big mystery, World Trade Center number 2. It is another giant office tower that in the past 7 years since I've been working here, we were told twice, it's going up, it's going up. Hasn't moved an inch. Right? So I'm going to show it to you. Okay. So we don't know when it's going up, but we do know where it's going up. If you look to the left of the Oculus, you see a block full of machinery, right? Some of it very colorful. It's covered in street art. Over that machinery will rise World Trade Center number 2. When it's done, it will be taller than 3, but shorter than this building, shorter than 1. Right? So when everything is finally done, this is what it will look like. Let me stand over here so we get a good look. Ta-da! Not bad, right? And everything you see here exists except for 2. So that's 2. Doesn't exist yet, but everything else exists, right? So you've got 7 back here, then you've got 1 here. That's the building we're in. Here's 4, and here's 3, right? Oculus is down here. Performing Arts Center, almost finished, but not there yet. That's there. 9/11 Museum, and then of course the memorial pools. So I can say with a straight face that the World Trade Center has been reborn, right? It's not just an idea or a proposal or blueprints. It's reality with just a few steps to go to the finish line. So on that happy note, I'll finally stop talking. Unless you guys have questions.
I'm good.
All good?
Very nice.
Nice.
Great.
Thank you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Before you walk away though, let me give you some reminders and the lay of the land. So first I want to remind you, you all have a $15 credit
Right.
that you can spend. Now that credit is good in the gift shop, which is right here, of course, right? And also for a drink upstairs in the cafe, restaurant, or bar. To go upstairs to get your drink or a bite to eat or a souvenir photo, you turn this corner and then turn the next corner. And then you'll see escalators. One goes up, one goes down. Take the one up, it'll bring you to that spot I pointed out before, right? When you're ready to leave, you got to exit on this floor at the spot I pointed out earlier on the north corner of the observatory, where all those display cases are, right? If you want a restroom, restrooms are located right behind the gift shop, right over there, and near the restrooms are water fountains. Right? You're welcome to stay as long as we're open, until I think 8 or 9 tonight. While you're here, if you have questions, just find anybody dressed like me. There are 4 of us here today, right? We're easy to spot because we dress like this, and if we're not leading the tour, we're happy to answer questions. Okay, guys?
Thank you.